The India men's hockey team have put on a fabulous show when we look at the current ongoing Asian Men's Champions Trophy in Chennai. They have won all their games in dramatic fashion. There was one draw which was a rude or a missed opportunity in that sense. But a dominant display from India has put them in pole position to secure the Asian Men's Champions Trophy because the league stages are all done. And on Friday, you are going to see the semifinals. Malaysia take on the defending champions South Korea. But India actually face a very tricky opponent in Japan because they may have won the group matches, but there was one game in which India had to face a draw, and it was against Japan. Now, why must India be very, very careful of Japan when it comes to the Men's Asian Champions Trophy? Because if you look at it, you can say head to head, 27-3 actually means that India should start as the odds-on favorites heading into this encounter against Japan. But if you look at two matches in the past, one that recently happened in the league game, 1-1. That is the only draw that India was subjected to in this entire Men's Asian Champions Trophy 2023. But look at the last time this happened. The Asia Cup of 2022, Japan beat India 5-2, and remember, Japan are the reigning Asian Games champions for a reason. When it comes to the knockout stages, they raise their A game in a big, big way, and that is why India, after great wins against Malaysia, after a tough win against South Korea, and then beating Pakistan and China, the problem now is that they have to encounter a very tricky Japanese opponent. And remember, India may have dominated in all the other cases. For example, in the Hockey World Cup, they defeated them 8-0. They then beat Japan 1-0 in the Asia Cup of 2022. But then Japan actually got the better of them even in the Hero Asia Cup of 2022 with a 5-2 win. So, there are a lot of positives in the Indian side, but there are also some negatives which they will have to overcome so that they make a big impact in the Men's Champions Trophy, and then they go on to ensure that they do well in the Asiad. Because remember, the Asian Games, a victory in the Asian Games, the gold medal will give them direct entry into Paris Olympics 2024. So what are the positives for India? Field goals, penalty corners, if you look at it, India are dominating in all aspects. 20 goals scored by India during the league stages, which is the most. 7-2 against China, 5-0 against Malaysia, 4-0 against, you may say, Pakistan, 1-1 against Japan, and you may say 4-0 also that they secured against Pakistan meant that they headed the 3-2 versus South Korea. It meant they were the team to beat. Harmanpreet Singh, always leading from the front as captain, as a penalty corner expert also with 7 goals. But remember, this is a new era for Harmanpreet Singh because he was the one who was struggling for the penalty corners during the World Cup. Now here he has made a good comeback, and with 7 goals, he is really on top here. Most goals from penalty corners. This was the one stat that really hurt India during the World Cup. 14 goals now they have in this Men's Asian Champions Trophy. So this is a positive, but it is also a major negative that India can have to overcome because there have been a total of 25 penalty corners that they had combined against Japan and Malaysia, and they only converted 3 of them. This is the major problem that India have because they are getting penalty corners, but they are not converting them. The conversion rate has been abysmal when you look at it. So, don't go by the stat that, okay, there are penalty corner goals, 14 of them, but out of how many? Most likely 14 out of 40 plus penalty corner conversions. That is the thing. So, 1 in 3 only they are converting it. They don't have a high conversion rate. And remember, the likes of Netherlands, Belgium, Australia, why do they succeed? Their penalty corner conversions are much higher. Conceded 11 penalty corners versus South Korea. Now that is another area of concern because Craig Fulton, the coach, has always stated that you need to have a strong defense in order to go and attack. But remember, it took some fantastic goalkeeping from PR Srijays and Vikas Krishan to ensure that India would be saved. Towards the final quarter, you could see that South Korea was really going after India, and that's how they hung on to a 3-2 win. But that game against South Korea, the defending men's Asians Champions Trophy tournament, that's a big wake-up call, because you have to be at your best when you're playing the likes of Korea, Japan and Malaysia, because Malaysia can also hurt you in the long run if they manage to make it to the final as well. The one other factor which I have not mentioned here is, but I will say it out loud, is the grueling schedule. Now remember, in the past couple of months, they have really undergone a very tough schedule. Remember, India just finished their FIH Pro League assignments in June. Then they went to Spain for the centenary celebration of the Spanish hockey. And then they were also in Germany. Now, after a short turnaround time, they have come to the Men's Asians Champions Trophy in Chennai. Now, different conditions, different climate, and now the toll could be taking on them. Because now, after 12th, they will now directly head into the Asiad that will be held in Guangzhou. So, schedule, penalty corner conversions, and conceding too many penalty corners are three major areas where the Indian hockey team has to really shape up. Because if they don't, better opponents are going to hurt them. And remember, the field will only get tougher now, because if you look at all the three opponents, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, India have not lost to Malaysia since 2018, but they got knocked out in the knockout stages of the Asiad. Remember, when was India's last loss? It was in knockout stages of the Asiad, and there they lost 6-7 in sudden death penalties. Then South Korea are the defending champions. Somehow, some way, India hung in against South Korea, but 11 penalty corners, that was a big mistake that they had. Japan. Now remember, Japan are the reigning Asian Games champions, but remember, in the last two games, they have not been beaten. And if you look at it in a way, in the Men's Asians Champions Trophy, that is, Japan unbeaten against India in the last two encounters in the Men's Asians Champions Trophy, not overall. So in the Men's Asians Champions Trophy, Japan have actually done well in the last couple of games against India. So they will have to ensure that they avoid the slip up at that time as well. So the field is getting tougher for Harmanpreet Singh and his team. With just about a month to go for the Asiad, they will have to give in their all to ensure they wrest back the title that they had won in 2018. Because remember, in 2018, the title had to be shared because of unseasonal rains in Oman. So India will be gunning for the Men's Asians Champions Trophy title, but it begins with a semi-final encounter that will start at 8:30 p.m. IST tomorrow in Chennai. India versus Japan. The other semi-final features Malaysia versus South Korea. So in a big way now, India's preparations for the Asian Games is reaching the business end now. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and don't forget we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.